Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today we are back in the home studio. I've got a guest in front of me. No more Skype stuff. I've actually got a brand new little recorder, and I've got a brand new microphone that I'm recording on. This is the first podcast I've done with this new microphone. So how fitting that our good buddy Dale Williams has joined in. How you going, mate?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, very well. What about yourself?
Pretty good. I'm in the throes of parental leave. So I've got 2 days a week where the kids are in care.
Fantastic.
So I get 2 days of just, I did the shopping and mow the lawns and put the washing on and stuff, but I did get to go to the movies today, which was good.
Awesome.
And there's a brand new cinema that's opened up not too far from here, up towards Kmart, Burwood Kmart, sort of as you head out the city. There's a whole new area out there. They're developing all this housing. They put a brand new cinema in there, a reading cinema.
Oh, awesome.
So it's like leather recliners, $14 tickets, 10 minutes of ads before the movie. That's it.
Fantastic.
It's a whole new world.
And I'm gathering the time that you're going, it's nice and quiet.
Yeah, so I've been going. I went at about midday today, and last week I went at about 10 in the morning, but the movie I wanted to see wasn't on until 12 today, so I went a bit later, but it's good, yeah. Nice and quiet, just a few people in the cinema.
Fantastic.
Everyone's behaving, so it's good. It's good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Yeah, busy. My Star Wars life is going well.
Rolling along now. Of course, you're the big wheel in the fan club now.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Big wheel at the cracker factory or whatever it is.
Very little wheel.
Very little wheel in the cogs and stuff like that.
Maybe the squeaky wheel.
So what's it like from a fan club perspective when obviously like Rise of Skywalker, it's like new movie, it's just like it's coming like, and then it's sort of, it's done. Is there a collective sort of everyone exhales and it's sort of a break?
I think from the outside, I'm sure people think there's 50 of us or something. It's a really small group, and it's essentially Luke Sword, that is his name. So
shout out Luke if you're listening.
Yeah, fantastic. And he just carries it all on his back. Like you have to sort of ask him, hey Luke, is there anything we can help you with? He's really hardworking and proactive, really positive, and so yeah, he did a shitload of work for the premiere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. The premiere was amazing. I was there. It was really, really cool. But is it sort of, maybe it's a question for Luke, but I'm sure you can speak to a little bit. Like, it's just the fact that it's like, from a podcast perspective, I haven't been listening to stacks of podcasts because it's like I listen at work. That's like my, now that I'm home, it's harder to find time. I kind of work in the ones when I can. But there is a bit of that kind of, that's done now. Yeah. Like, where do we go from here? Like, what do we just, the wheel just clicks over to like, we've just got to start waiting again for stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, we just got a thing. Like, are we too spoilt now?
Absolutely, and especially with like Mandalorian coming out sort of pre episode 9 and then sort of bleeding into that, it was kind of a dizzying time to be a Star Wars fan. So much going on. Yeah.
So I mean, in some cases, you're getting Resistance and Mandalorian in a week.
Yeah.
And then new Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And now Resistance finished up on Sunday, I think it was. So that's done. Mando's done. Star Wars is done. And then I suppose now people are going, Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. So it's never really gone, is it?
There's always something coming along, isn't there?
Yeah. But like the movie is obviously the big thing. Does it feel like? Do you feel like I could take a little break from movies for a bit? You're like, hey, if a movie came out end of the year, I'd be just getting ready.
Yeah, I never thought I would say that, but I am ready for a little bit of a break to reset, and especially having something new, completely unknown at this stage. So that's really exciting, and with the TV shows coming along, there's going to be something for everyone along the line.
Yeah. Because it was funny when Catherine was here a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about, this new movie, we don't know anything about it. There's a sort of speculation, the High Republic, people keep saying stuff like that and going, it's 3 years away. I'm like, yeah, but movies take nearly 3 years to make. So
yeah,
there's a good chance we'll start hearing about, obviously we'll start hearing about directors and writers and stuff really soon. And then they'll start casting this thing before mid-year probably, you probably start hearing a bunch of names being tossed up, and it's like, oh crap, the wheel just starts turning again.
Yeah, and they're like, I always enjoy those sort of announcements along the road, and before you know it, the film's here.
It just feels so far away then,
Yeah.
like obviously Rise of Skywalker was the third one, and most of the cast has come back, but you get a few additions, you're getting like Kerry Russell and other sort of people, Billy D coming back and stuff like, but it's not the same as like that Force Awakens. They're going, oh, it's going to be,
I know, how exciting was that?
Daisy Ridley, and people are like, who the hell is Daisy Ridley?
Yeah.
Like, John Boyega I knew through Attack the Block, and Oscar Isaac I kind of knew a little bit, and obviously Adam Driver. So there's a few names you kind of go, oh, that's interesting, in doing that. And
yeah.
then,
But what about Obi-Wan? Have you been speaking with Ewan?
No, he's gone quiet.
Has he?
He doesn't want.
That's probably Disney told him
probably
not to talk.
Slightly just like, man, like it was quite funny because there was that. I think when Chris Hall was on last week, we made the joke of like, the rumor came out that it was done. It was this stupid from some nothing site, and then they just sort of threw it in the air, and everybody freaked out, and it was over. And then people were, people like Anthony Breslin were like, no, it's all. And then all of a sudden, this other thing came out going, oh, actually, there might be something going on here. There's a little delay.
It's such nonsense, isn't it? Like, really, like if we're gonna end up with a really good show, who cares?
But any time people smell blood in the water, you know what I mean? Like it's just an opportunity for people to sort of to naysayers and stuff. But then, and then Ewan McGregor's in this Birds of Prey movie which is about to come out, so he's about to ramp up the press. He must be going, damn it! Like I was this close to not having to answer any more Obi-Wan Kenobi questions. Now people are going to be going, he's going to get asked again. Like, it's funny because there's that video where he came out and was like, oh, no, it's still happening. Like, we're just waiting a little bit. Like, whatever, no big deal, man. But I'm sure deep down he's like, I don't
know. I think he's got a pretty good disposition. He's got a great sense of humor, and he sort of has a good way of making fun of those things.
Yeah.
On the late shows when he'll be interviewed, and he'll take it in his stride.
Yeah, I think it's sort of par for the course, isn't it? I think you just know you're going to get asked for all those things. But yeah, look, if it means it's better, then
absolutely,
then it's better. Like I think some people were saying, it might only be 4 episodes instead of 6, but
four good episodes. I don't care as long as it's good and they put the time into it. And there's obviously a reason why they stalled it. So
it's interesting to see what that is now. Whether
we'll never know. That's the time of Disney.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to sort of go back and go, we think these can be better. But, everybody got on board off the back of those other ones. And like, yeah, let's do it. Let's announce it. Ewan McGregor's in it. Let's get all this stuff. And then, this close, they've just gone, you know what? Maybe it's not quite. I mean, maybe it might just be like, hey, Mandalorian raised the bar higher than we thought. Maybe some people would divide on Rise of Skywalker, which was rushed. Maybe we need to just
calm ourselves down a bit.
Yeah, pull the brakes a little bit. It's still. I think the interesting thing was that I think he said the release date hasn't changed, so it's not like we're waiting any longer. So they haven't given an official release date. But if they're going, hey, it's going to be sometime next year, that doesn't change regardless. Like it was always going to be end of next year or whenever it's going to be.
Yeah, we just know too much information. That's the problem. Like if back in the day this just would have happened, we wouldn't have known. There would be some vague rumor that it was coming.
Yeah.
And now we know every detail and everyone's got an opinion like they've made 10 films ththemselves and, understand production back and forth and have their theories, but it's quite laughable.
I remember this theories going, they might be filming it in Sydney. I was like, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
Sydney,
reunion.
Close-ish. Yeah. Little Sydney reunion. Disney own. I assume they own Fox Studios now that they bought Fox. I have to check the contract on that one, but that would have been cool. Going back to Sydney and stuff.
If they've got Pinewood ready to go, and it seems to be the new home. So, how are you feeling about Mando now that it's finished the first season?
No, I was really happy with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't say can't fault it. Everything's. I can go. That would have been better, or that would have been better. But for the most part, it was better than I thought it was going to be. I think the production value was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though I probably should have been like, like where TV is now, and Stranger Things and Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Like I kind of thought. I think I said this when Catherine was on. Like I thought it might be like Doctor Who quality. Where it was sort of, they obviously throw more money at Doctor Who than these days, but it's still not this thing just looks
it's still Doctor Who.
Yeah, but this looked like a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
for the most part, it wasn't. Even if one or two effects were slightly ropey, I'm like, well, that's just the same as any slightly ropey effects in a Star Wars movie. It didn't feel like that they'd scrimped anything really. And we got it on a Friday night. I like the week by week. You can get away with that, and the story was good. I thought, the started really strong. A couple of the episodes weren't quite as good in the middle, but they were still really good. And then they kind of
what episodes? The Tatooine return?
Yeah, the Tatooine return. The Seven Samurai protecting the village one. Although they sort of, that one, I think was, because it brought in Cara Dune and that paid off later. You know what I mean? Like they all paid off to a point later. I think the Tatooine one, I think that must. I'm waiting for the payoff on that.
That was the one that I went, oh, now I'm liking it.
Oh, right. Well, from a visual point of view, from a just like, oh, wow, they've gone back to Mos Eisley and they've done all that. That's cool.
Because I have a problem with, not a problem with it. It's great. But one thing that I find a disconnect with The Mandalorian is the helmet.
Yep.
So I'm not seeing that emoting, and it's very much reliant on having a co-star that reflects back the emotions.
Yep.
And I'm not a big bounty hunter guy. Like, I'm more Force users, the Jedis, and all the rest. But I enjoyed it. But I'm just grateful that it's there, because for all the people that didn't like Rise of Skywalker, it seemed to really swing towards Mando. So there's something for everyone, which is great.
Cases, we'll get to Rise of Skywalker in a sec, but I just think that they probably surprised themselves of how popular it. On paper it should have been like Star Wars TV. Like, of course it's popular, but obviously it's crossed over. Baby Yoda's got a lot to do with that. Where it's just
they didn't see that coming, did they?
No. Well, people maybe they did, but people on the street obviously know Baby Yoda, and that's propelled it as well. So just talking about before, like Obi-Wan going, maybe they're just like, oh, actually, we've really got to we've set the bar pretty high here. We can't just sort of put in some kind of thing that we think's all right. Like, we've got to keep this thing going. But
well, there's plenty of Baby Yoda toys coming our way. My son's a buyer for Kmart, and he had a meeting with Disney a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me that they are furiously making Baby Yoda T-shirts, cups, toys, you name it.
Well, they didn't. I actually thought that his story would be over by the end of the season. Like, I kind of thought that would resolve itself by the end, and then they kind of go. I'm like, oh, that's a bit weird that you're just carting this Baby Yoda around for another whole series. But it seems that he. Even more so, like it's like they're a family now. You know what I mean? Like, it's actually, they've sort of dug in even further on that narrative.
Yeah, for sure. Have you rewatched the episodes, or just?
I've watched, not since I've watched them all. I think I watched them all at least twice when they came out, sort of the night of, and then I sort of, if I had time, I'd go back and sort of watch them. But I haven't gone back and watched
all in one go.
I would like to do like a back-to-back commentary or something like that, where you just sit there and just watch do like a 4-hour thing. Actually, it wouldn't even be that long.
Yeah, because they're short episodes. So.
Yeah, you could do that. I don't know. Who has time? We'll see. Well, I'm just talking about like, I've got all these days off and stuff like that. But it's also, finding someone who's free in the middle of the day to do it with. But I was very impressed. I'm sort of curious to see where they go now. But like I said, they've set a bar pretty high now. Have you been up to date with Resistance, or have you sort of?
No, I haven't. I've had so many other things on that. I enjoy it when I watch it.
Yeah, but you don't feel like you need to get it as it.
I sometimes forget it's out there. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. Thoroughly enjoy it, but
well, that just finished up. I watched the last episode last night, so that sort of finished up. I won't spoil it for you, but it was a perfectly fine ending, and it sort of wound up the series well. Those characters, but it didn't. It didn't tie into Rise of Skywalker like I thought it would.
Oh, okay. I was hoping it would.
Yeah, like I assumed that it would end with them being involved in that battle.
Uh-huh.
I think the visual dictionary stuff has said that they are there, but it doesn't happen in the show.
Those visual dictionaries.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, the major thing is that, it takes a year to 18 months to make an episode.
Yeah.
So they might have finished before the film. The movie was in such flux that they might not even know how it ended up. So I think they just had to contain their own little story, I think. But
what's next for animation, do you think?
Someone was saying that, was it Corey Van Dyke, those Noah, the Kessel Run transmission boys, or whatever, they apparently got wind. I don't know whether they said that there's a sequel to Rebels that they're doing. So they're doing a Ahsoka and Sabine searching for Ezra thing. So
okay.
But apparently, like soon, like this year, like second half of this
okay.
year, which is really weird. So it just means that they're cooking up these things. But the animation one's funny because I think I was saying like, how can they do that? How can people not know about it? But I think animation is so in-house.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you don't have to book locations, you don't have to book studio space, you don't have to hire other people, you don't have to do all this. Like it's all in there, so it's probably a lot easier to control.
That's true.
The news and stuff because people are just like, well, it's all just. It could have been on the cards for ages, and they're just, that's just the secret
There's
project.
no one sitting in dumpsters filming them.
Well, yeah, you don't have to leave. You don't have to leave the, leave the leave the house to figure it out. But so Dale, you actively, I always like it when people say that they want to come on because then I don't have to try and hustle and find people who want to be on the show. And you sent me a very nice message saying, hey, you're ready to go, ready when you are.
Yeah, well, I'd missed having a chat with you, and you're hard to pin down. So I just was shamelessly forceful.
I was like, oh, great, that's awesome. That saves me having to figure out who. And then when Dale sat down, I just said, you're always very well prepared. And I said, you got a little something up your sleeve here, and you're like. Always, I've always got something.
Yeah, I like to do my homework, but I'm looking forward to talking Rise of Skywalker with you amongst whatever else. But
yes,
because I thoroughly enjoyed it and did get to see it with you, even though it wasn't the opening night.
Yeah, we should just touch on that very quickly. I know if people who listen to this, and then our most downloaded episode that we've had, I think ever now, might be our Rise of Skywalker reaction one, and which you were supposed to be on, obviously, and then sadly you had a family emergency, and after putting in all the work and effort at the premiere, and I remember touching base with friends of ours going, oh yeah, Dale's frantically rolling posters or doing something else, trying to get it all organised and stuff, and then
like God, I felt awful. I drove to Luke's house, and I'm like, here, load up your already full car with some more posters. And by the way, here's some I haven't rolled yet. Enjoy doing that. Poor guy, he was so good.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's just nothing you can really do, really.
Exactly,
And then, unfortunately, you had a family medical emergency and had to vacate the... I mean, I know your focus is purely on the family thing, but did it ever drift in your mind like, everyone's watching Star Wars right now?
No, I didn't, because it was
pretty serious.
It did totally go out of my mind, so that's what it takes. But getting to see it with you guys the next day, because it's such an emotional film, well, it was for me anyway.
Yep.
I think had I done the wrong thing and not rushed to my mum's bedside, I would have been even more emotional.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think you definitely did the right thing, and it worked out well that we went the next day and you were able to come along, which was good, because we were like, well, we'll ask him. Who knows where he's at? But we'll just throw it out there.
Thanks for that. That was awesome.
And we were lucky enough to roll in the next day and see it again. So what number are you up to on screenings?
6.
6.
So the last one I went to see in 4D.
Oh yes, now that was a only a week or two ago.
Yeah,
wasn't it? The fan club.
Yeah, that was really awesome because.
So you strapped in?
No, you should be. So it's pretty violent.
Yeah.
The chairs really sort of pitch forward and move around, and there's water being sprayed and smoke and lightning and all sorts of things. So
was there a particular moment where it was like, oh wow, this is really was there when they're on the Death Star?
Yeah, you got it.
Water and
stuff. You needed a raincoat.
Really?
It was
and
great.
You wear glasses like me. You just kind of wiping the.
Yeah. Oh, it's not that heavy, but it's like a tiniest light spray, but it feels.
Yep.
Yeah, it's timed perfectly for the film, and look, it's definitely not how you want to see the film the first time because it's so distracting in some ways.
Yeah.
But once you've seen it 5 times already, it's a good experience.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, is there any times where you're kind of like, oh, that's a weird choice of why they made that thing happen when it happened, or was it like it wasn't like someone got killed or you got lurched forward on top of a lightsaber or anything?
Yeah, well, they actually move with the camera a little bit too. So they move the chair, sort of moves in motion to the camera zooming in or out in something, and so it's a bit jarring in the beginning, but you get used to it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So it's like your popcorn and your drink kind of flying.
Yeah, they're
shaking.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked to. I just wasn't possible at the time. It's just sort of. I think it was like Saturday afternoon. You guys went, which is sort of the least. When you've got small kids at home time. But
and what about IMAX? Did you make it to an IMAX screening?
No, I didn't get it to. I've seen it 4 times. So I saw it 3 times in 3 days off the jump, midnight Thursday and then the Friday, and then I went a couple of weeks ago to the Rivoli, which is down the road with my best mate. So I watched it with him and Josh Frydenberg,
Oh, awesome.
Who's the federal treasurer. He was sitting next to me with his
Lovely.
dad.
Did he look happy?
I don't know, actually. I didn't really look that close. I just kind of like, is he going to talk during the movie? Is he going to stay off his phone? And he didn't do those things, because then you can be like, bloody federal treasurer can't even stay off his bloody phone in the movies and stuff. But no, he was, he seemed happy enough, I suppose. But I would like to go one more time. I know Matt Grant, our friend, said that the Astor Theatre is showing it. So
I think it's Saturday night. It's actually showing, and then there's
Yeah.
another one after that.
which is the big sort of Art Deco cinema in Windsor. So it's finishing up most places now. I think a lot of places are still doing like a 3 p.m. screening, but I think as soon as school holidays is done, it's kind of done.
Yeah.
But, I would like to get one more, and I might try and do after. Well, I mean, this is a conversation for offline. Probably we'll talk about whether we go one more. I would like to go one more time.
Yeah.
And then we'll have it digitally in 2 or 3 months.
Well,
anyway.
I'd highly recommend the IMAX. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, right. Was that down in Carlton?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been. What's the last thing? I think I saw Fury Road is the last thing I saw.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like it. It's just logistics, like the
it's that extra effort.
Yeah, it's sort of like, well, I can go to the cinema 5 minutes down the road, or the one that's 40 minutes away, and add all the things to it. So, there's the 4D one? Is it just the ride? Are you getting anything extra out of the movie you didn't get before?
No,
or is it really just the?
It's just turning the movie into a bit of a theme park ride.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of Star Tours-ish.
That doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah, look, everyone seemed to enjoy it, and it was funny because that was only a couple of weeks ago, so it's sort of later in the run, but the jokes were still landing, and I'm sure people have seen it a few times, and the audience reaction was positive. So
I don't know what the record. I think Dallas Wood from Bad Motivators has seen it 9 or 10 times. I think.
Yeah, that's good effort.
But I think he's seen them all about that. But I think there's been a lot of sort of people going, "Oh, I went 3 or 4 times. I haven't heard so many like 7, 8, 9 times and stuff." I don't know whether that's just the movie isn't for everyone, or people are busier, or the landscape's changed. People are just like, well, I'm gonna get it in 3 months digitally now. And I mean, I suppose that was same for Last Jedi as well, but I think even more so, it's just like, wow, I don't have that long to wait and stuff. I mean, a lot of people online have got those shonky little cam rips. I can't do that. I think Chris, when last week we were talking about that, I'm like, nah, you get 1080p or nothing. I don't
exactly.
These shonky.
You're doing yourself no favors.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So, first viewing to last viewing.
Yeah, the first viewing was just like, what the hell is happening? Because it's so choppy. It's
so
just
much,
boom, bang, and some things just didn't sit. Not that they weren't problems, but they were kind of unexpected, like editing choices or where the story was spliced up.
I was thinking about this the other day, and I think a lot of it has to do with they're all together. So you're not sort of intertwining stories,
the classic
and characters
story
as much.
telling with the 3 stories going simultaneously.
Yeah, like I know Jedi, they, they're all sort of at Jabba's palace and stuff, but they still all come in separately. Like the droids come in first, then Chewie and Leia, and then Luke comes in, and then they get Han out, and then they do, all that kind of stuff. And then by the time you get to Endor, the story breaks off again. Like Luke goes off with Vader. Yep. You got the ground battle. You got the space battle.
Yep.
This has got, like, for the most part, all of them in this one. So everything, you're not cutting between these characters. You're just sort of with them. So you always got to get them places because they're always.
And boy, do we get them places!
Yeah,
There's like about 9 planets.
Well, that's the thing. Like even when, like they cut and occasionally cut to Kylo and stuff. Like he's sort of just behind them anyway. It's almost like he's along for the same ride.
True.
It's not like, and his plot is pretty much running concurrently. Like Jedi. And even, maybe not so much Empire, but Jedi, like Vader and the Emperor are kind of doing their own thing, and then they kind of interweave at the end.
Yep.
Like they worry about Luke getting to them while they're sort of taking care of business. And this, Kylo, was just reactionary to everything they're doing. So it's just the one thing that rolls along, the one sort of narrative the whole time. So that's the thing, like you're going from point A to point B to point C to point D to point E, and it's the same people in different places just kind of going along this thing. So I think that's, a bit different to the other ones.
Absolutely, it's so different. And like, how there was discussion of cutting it into 2 films, sort of a la Harry Potter.
Yep.
But I kind of agree that would have been awesome if we could have got that. But then the OCD side of me with
10,
Yeah.
9, no, you don't
Three,
want 9,
3, 4.
yeah, 9.5 or whatever.
Yeah. So, but look, we got what we got, and for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I did ask when Jess was on. I said, like knowing what you know now, and I think she's pretty happy with the film on the whole, as well. Like, would you rather have waited 6 months to a year to have a better film if they'd come out and said, "Hey, we haven't quite nailed this thing"? No, would you wait longer? But it's kind of like, well, there's no guarantees it's going to be any better. You know what I mean? Like, you can just sometimes tinker with something, and it's just
absolutely.
It just stick. Oh, that's the thing. Like with this, we might get the Blu-ray, in a few months, and they'll have deleted scenes, and they might just be like, oh, well, I'm glad they left that out. I'm glad I left that out, or that didn't really serve any purpose, or it's a slightly longer conversation, or
Well, don't they say films are never finished? They're just released.
yeah, they're always just abandoned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of what I sort of thought of. I mean, and then the movie, in the second half of the movie, when Rey kind of goes off, they do sort of separate a little bit more. It does sort of feel a little bit more like a sort of traditional Star Warsy, where you're kind of cutting, but you're really only cutting between. Oh, well, I guess you got
the battle.
Yeah, the battle, and then Rey down there, and then, there's sort of different elements of the battle and stuff, but it doesn't sort of have those sort of 3 or 4 things. Like I think Phantom Menace has got like, the end of that's got like 4 things going on. It's got like the lightsabers, the space battle, the ground battle, and then Padme running around in the there's like 4 things that they're cutting between. So. What other things sort of are sticking with you with the film?
I think there's so many. It leaves you with so many more questions, which is good.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Did you ever think for a second that she was staying on Tatooine? Does that?
No.
Did that? I don't get this logic.
No.
I really don't understand it.
But I really didn't. Like, I loved that. That was sweet. We got to see the old homestead.
Yeah.
But it was so obviously a set. I really felt it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a set, but
I never really.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I knew that I'd heard the
There's
thing
just
of
something
like,
murky about it.
Well, I'd heard them saying, "Hey," was it Kevin Smith or whatever, like saying, "Hey, I got told the last set will blow your mind." Da 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 da. So I was just assuming, like, well, that's it. That's fair enough. They went to the Lars homestead. That's pretty epic. Obviously, they must have made a set then. They didn't go to Tunisia. But at the same time, I wasn't like...
Oh, you didn't notice? That's good.
Yeah, I didn't notice.
Yeah.
But I'll get... Maybe now I'll go back and
I've thought that.
I can see the plywood wobbling in the background.
There's a couple of those, and whether that's just rushed or whatever, but like, this is the weirdest tangent to go on, but it's where my mind went, what the hell's up with Luke's wig? Am I the only one that noticed that? It was like...
Ghost Luke in general? Or at the end?
The Ghost Luke, when he came back, he's got a totally different wig to what he had in Last Jedi.
Oh, in Last Jedi. Yeah, it's longer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah.
It looks more sort of like that old dude that grows his own pot.
Yeah, there was somewhat in it that he reminded me of, but I've been thinking, because I've been wanting to make the joke of like he looks like...
Big Lebowski?
Yeah, there's that, but it's a little bit of that, but I can't think of what it is, but it is sort of... Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad continuity, isn't it?
Longer kind of past the shoulders and stuff, isn't it? But yeah, he was... He didn't sort of clean himself up once he...
Yeah, I just wonder with little things like that. They're usually so over the top with continuity and getting everything right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe that's just like our time has passed, but I guess does your hair grow long when you're... like Anakin made himself younger, hot again.
That's true.
Like he didn't sort of... Luke wasn't like, hey, I'm just going to go back to young, 24-year-old Luke or whatever and bring it. But... Yeah. Oh, now I'm going to look at that. Like I did remember thinking it going like, oh, he obviously looks different. I just assumed that he would look exactly like.
But while we're on wigs, Lando's was awesome.
Yeah, he looked great actually.
He did look great.
Like he didn't even need to have like they kind of gave him a grey mustache just to show that he was aging. Like his energy was higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, me too. Because he can sound a bit rickety.
He's in his 80s now, and At Celebration we saw him. He was, he had his walking stick. He had to get up on his, it was a bit like, you're sweet, you're very sweet, But it was clearly like he's an older guy. So when he was like, "How you doing, Chewbacca?" I was like, "Whoa, hey!"
Yeah, that's it.
There he is.
He's back.
Yeah, he's back, baby. Like,
and with Yana at the end with the family thing, like there's a good spin-off. There's a backstory we don't know, another little mystery.
Yeah,
so that could be its own TV show, like. Keeping up with the
Calrissians. Like it's all just like reality TV, like with the camera.
The many women that Lando slept with.
He's like, "I'm your daughter," and he's like, "Yeah, that's nothing special."
Yeah. Are you robot? Are you half robot?
Yeah. Exactly. Are you half sassy robot? Yeah, the Luke stuff was a bit. Yeah,
I would have liked to have seen more of him, but again, look,
have you read the sort of like the Trevorrow treatments or anything like that, or that leaked stuff? Or
I sort of scanned it, but it's quite confusing unless you're going to sit down and read the entire script.
yeah, I can't. Like, I can get
Couldn't
why
quite follow
if
it.
people, if people didn't jive with the movie and they got all excited about it could have been this, it could have been this, it could have been this.
It doesn't mean it was going to be
concept
good.
art doesn't mean anything. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't mean anything. Like if the movie had come out and then, JJ's was the lost one, people would be like, oh my God, they did this and they did this. And it's very, hindsight's an amazing thing.
Yeah, and I think like we all have our own little headcanon when these films are coming out, especially a trilogy, that this is how they're going to end it and this is what it should be. And those that like it, it kind of matches their headcanon pretty well.
Yeah.
Those that don't, it's nowhere near.
Yeah, and when it's the final one as well, it's sort of like nowhere to hide. It's sort of like, people who didn't drive on Last Jedi and stuff, a lot of them are like, well, maybe they'll get it on the next one. They'll fix these things or change these things. Yeah. It's like when you get to the end, it's like, this is it. This is the final dance.
Yeah, and I think like with Star Wars projects in general, there's like this sort of like the quality of it is amplified, sort of either good or bad.
Yep.
By the audience. It's like nobody cares so much about anything else, but there's just this over analysis and
well, there's nothing left now. There's no more speculation. All you can do is analyze.
Yeah, that's true.
So the speculation is dead. So I mean, you can speculate on other projects and things, but you can't speculate what's going on with these characters, at least in a film thing, until we know.
Till we get all the comics and books.
Well, we don't know. Like that's the thing. Like until they commit to what they're going to do, they can't really do anything with anyone. So,
what about Knights of Ren? How did you feel?
I didn't really care about them before,
me
so I
neither.
was kind of like they were barely in the Force Awakens, so they're in it more in this. So,
Yeah.
I mean, great, I guess.
That's totally a comic. But did I have it wrong? But was there some sort of mention that Kylo took a handful of students and from the Force Awakens?
Yeah, he
And
says.
see, I assumed that was them.
Yeah,
Which therefore they would have been Jedi.
yeah. No, there's
they're
some
clearly
comics.
not.
There's some comics. Like Kylo Ren comic that's come out has talked about him a bit, and they just seem to be like a pack of dark side users that are.
Don't have lightsabers.
Yeah, I don't. Well, their leader did, and it's implied that Kylo runs into them. Well, in the comic, younger Kylo trained with Luke runs into them, basically, and Luke, dispatches with them. But then, obviously, when Kylo turns, he's like, "I got to find these Knights of Ren because these are the bad boys of the galaxy."
Yeah.
And then I don't think they're up to that in the comic yet. But basically, I think he just kills the leader and takes them over. So he's got a little posse. But I don't really know what their goal is. It seemed like in the comic they were just hunting for an artifact or this. I think just the
There was
general.
a lot of
gang.
MacGuffins, wasn't there?
Yeah, there were too many MacGuffins. You could have easily. I think we mentioned this before on the other one. You could have easily have ditched a couple of those MacGuffins. You didn't need the knife, and you didn't need. And the thing, actually, you got to ask me. You've seen this 6 times. The scene where, they had that kind of flashback, and there's that Jedi killer who kills her parents.
Oh, yeah. I'm all about this because I'm totally confused in this, even after 6 times.
Right, and he's just like Ochi or Omni or Oppie, what his name is. And there's a bit where they sort of show that he kills, like he sort of he stabs
Junior
her dad,
Sheev, yeah.
and then she goes to the mum. Does the mum go like, she's not on Jakku?
Yeah.
And then kills her, and then he just flies off.
But then, how come his ship is the one that drops Rey off at
On
Jakku?
Jakku.
I can't figure that out. Is there some other complicated story where they stole his ship and...
Yeah, that's the thing
that
I
makes
didn't
no
quite get,
sense.
because that's the ship that flies away. And also, if she just goes, oh no, she's not on Jakku, isn't that the first place you look?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's not exactly it's a populated place. She wouldn't be that hard to find, really. That's why I didn't quite get that. Like, I don't know whether they were all living on Jakku and he turned up in the ship. Like, maybe maybe they're living on Jakku. He turns up, he finds her parents, can't find her because they've given her to Alclar Plut. He kills them, flies off. She sees the ship flying away because they're on the ship.
Oh god, my brain
So hang
hurts.
on, let me start this again. Now they're on they get killed on the ship, I think.
Oh, do they?
Maybe. So maybe she sees them get put on the ship and fly away.
Would someone please help us with this?
Someone please help me with this. So they get killed, put on the ship, get flown away. She sees the ship fly away. She's like, come back.
Should we get the red ribbons
But
out?
at the same time, if she's close enough to see the ship fly away, He's not very good at his job, is he? This guy.
No, it's anyway. I'm sure there's a logical explanation. But I did have that as a question.
Oh, did you? Got your notes here.
But you know what? Who was having the time of his life was old Cheeve.
Oh yeah.
How happy was he? He loves life, doesn't he?
Yeah. You mean Ian McDermott, or you mean Palpatine himself?
Palpatine was cackling, and he was having the best time.
Yeah, we've got to figure that.
He loves that evil stuff.
Even that, like, I was happy to go along with it, but it's a
very Dark Empire.
Well, I had brother-in-law James here. We pulled the Dark Empire comic out, and we were just talking about all the wackadoo things in Dark Empire. And then after the thing, he was like, "Oh, they did this, and he's the president of EU."
Do you reckon there was some sort of, because it is so EU, and you know how that has its fans.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was some sort of, why not?
Yeah. Look, I think in order just to facilitate the story, they kind of did that, and I think it's just a coincidence more than anything. I think they busted out Dark Empire and started reading stuff, but I think they've just gone, "Hey, we want him back. We're going to tie these movies."
And I'm happy to have him back
together. It's just sort of like, oh, he's back somehow.
That whole thing. Dead speak.
They literally just like, yeah, somehow the Emperor returned. But I'd said this before that if it had been if there'd been the plan all the time and JJ done all three films, you feel like the second film might have been a bit more like getting him back, and then he's sort of back at the end, sort of like Goblet of Fire, like Voldemort's back at the end of Goblet of Fire, and then
you better watch out.
Then you better watch out. Then you sort of launch off again. But
yeah. My favourite scene was, which annoyed some people, was the Luke and Leia training. I know the CGI is not the greatest, especially on Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
But it was just like, oh wow, that one little moment that.
I just want to see a whole show of that.
Well, me too, and like, how great would that be?
Well, they did
even if that was a cartoon, that'd be so good.
Well, Luke was Hamill de-aged, so that was why he looked better. So that was actually Mark Hamill. On the de-aging.
I did read that, and then I watched it again and thought, there is no way that was him running around.
Well, he wasn't obviously flipping around, but I think when the lid came off.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I think, they can, they've done...
No, they're pretty good then.
They've done Robert Downey Jr. young and
that's
all these
true.
other people. I think they've kind of perfected that. But then apparently it was Billy Lord was playing Leia.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
But then they had to CG her, which is why she doesn't look quite as...
But how awesome would that be to have, like, some sort of story with that? I'd eat that up.
Well, that's the thing. Like, now this Skywalker saga's done, apparently.
All the doors are open.
Well, like, you've got this whole gap of stuff. Like, fill it in. Like, let's go. Like, okay, take a break, sure. And it seems like these next set of movies are going to come into. But like Mandalorian's going off. If the scale of that gets bigger and they start getting into more of the what's going on with the Rebellion and the New Republic and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's probably a good avenue to do it. If you've got this popular TV show, if he's sort of implied at the end of Mandalorian, like, because they say, oh, he's got to find his people. I assumed it was Jedi's, not the planet of the Yodas. Did you think that, or?
Yeah, I didn't think Planet of the Yodas.
No, I thought it was more Force users or Jedi's and stuff. So I was like, oh, well, you can bring Luke Skywalker, like,
Yeah.
Who's the only Jedi in the galaxy?
And like, I was thinking, like, in the what ifs, like the infinities, like, what if Luke and Leia grew up together? Like when you saw them training like that, or even what if they were split and he was the Prince of Alderaan and she was sent to Tatooine.
She was sent to the dirt
farm.
Yeah. I tell you what, she would have been running that dirt farm
exactly
very well. That would have been the best dirt farm going around.
She would have been out of there years before.
No, she would have checked the book. She's like, who does the accounting here? Like, let's get this thing run a bit more efficiently. Like, Luke was just busy, piss farting around in his car or whatever.
Exactly.
Leia would have turned that place around. No worries. Yeah, I did like that. It was quite interesting that they just. No one had gone back to the farm since then. Like, it was sort of worthless, and
things aren't good on Tatooine.
No, I think once the Hutts moved out, the economy kind of collapsed.
Exactly.
There wasn't any reason to hang around really, except for that old lady there who's probably looted the place or something. She was like, "Ah, shit, they've finally caught up with me."
She's going for those lightsabers.
There,
it, don't you?
Aunt Beru's outfit. She's still wearing Aunt Beru's clothes.
She's got those lightsabers on eBay.
Oh, yeah, of course. As soon as Ray walks away, she's just like, I'm going to dig this shit up.
She's got her metal detector.
Yeah. It is that kind of thing where you feel like, one day those lightsabers are going to be dug up again, or, someone's going to find those lightsabers, and here we go again.
Well, if we live long enough, I'm sure.
yeah, that's right. Well, that's the thing, like Ray... it does just sort of feel like the Rey's adventure isn't done. It's just sort of her part in that Skywalker saga's done, and then she's off to do the next thing. Like, there's just as much potential to tell her story and all these other stories now.
I don't think they'll touch any of that. I think they're going to have so many other projects on the go.
They won't touch it for a while.
They'll just leave that until.
Well, that's like.
That's their backup plan.
Well, in Star Wars time, that's like today.
Uh-huh.
That's like the most recent thing that's happened in Star Wars. Like that's as far as time goes in the story of Star Wars a long time ago, like a galaxy far, far away. So you can't, if you want to push past that, you've got to tell the story of what happened to everybody there. Like, until you sort of leave the thing on. They've been burnt on that EU stuff before, so they're not going to start just doing wackadoo stories there, write themselves into a corner, and they want to change it later. So if they're doing this High Republic thing where they're going back 400 years, they're just like, yeah, well, that gives us the wriggle room to do what we want without it really impacting anything in a story. There's still stakes because nobody knows who these people are and where they ended up, unless Yoda's in it. You know, Yoda lives, and
it decomplicates things. Like, you only have to watch like the progression of the movie posters to see how many characters are on them. And you know what I mean? It's like, but they can't. They need to reset.
Just have like one person.
Exactly.
On there. Yeah. So I mean, I don't really have any thoughts one way or the other about what it will be. If it's just an era, like obviously it's an era where there's Jedis and other things. If it's just a Jedi story, or it's just a world where there are lots of Jedis around, but not necessarily about Jedis, or they just come in and out and do things, and someone's got a plan somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to your notes before we drift too far for Rise of Skywalker. Did you have any other little bugbears here after 6?
I think I covered all my little observations. Then, you know, as I said, overall, I just really loved it. And the best thing about the sequel trilogy for me is I just love the characters. They were awesome. I didn't think I could enjoy characters as much as Luke, Leia, and Han. And
now we didn't actually. Last time you were on, we should touch on this. We were talking shipping.
Oh yeah. Well, you know,
we didn't get the big ship. We kind of got the opposite, really.
We did, didn't we?
It gave Poe some sort of little slight love interest in the thing. Was that a little fun, a little bit of a slap in the face, or did you just
Look,
like, hey, I was just wishing on a star? They're just doing what they're doing.
They were never going to do it, but what a great opportunity it would have been, because God, those two actors are, you know, they're shipping themselves.
Up for it. Yeah, I know, they were completely up for it.
Yeah,
I mean, it was sort of implied that, you know, they kind of did bring it up, and they were a bit gun shy. They didn't have the balls to go through with it.
But leaving it open still would have been cool.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
it's not enough.
I guess technically it is still open. You know, Zori Bliss probably just got back in her ship and flew off, but you know, just implying they had a history and stuff. I mean, I liked the character, but I mean, they kind of said before the film that nothing was going to happen, so I wasn't. But leading up, I had, you know, because I had Holly from Rebel Dispatch. She was much in the same boat as you, and, you know, similar, you know, wanting to see themselves represented a bit more on there. But
when they can realize that they'll make money off it, don't worry, they'll be doing
it. Yeah, well, you know, they've got another whole, you know, they've got more stuff. I don't think it's going, you know. It's not going to get quieter. I think it's only going to get louder, I think. So,
speaking of that, what about a Dr. Aphra animated
do a live action Dr. Aphra?
You reckon?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, for sure. I reckon that'd be great.
It's the humor would be interesting to see how that lands live action, but yeah, the right writers, it could be awesome.
And I was kind of going, oh, is it a tough sell to try? I'm like, well, no one knew who the Mandalorian was before. Like, it's just a character. Like, it's you can just tell it. It's like a Star Wars Indiana Jones. You know, she's sort of morally ambiguous, and I for sure. I mean,
that'd lend itself to a TV series pretty well too, I think. I
mean, they could spin her off in Mandalorian. She's around in that time period.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
You could introduce her in Mandalorian and spin her off if you wanted to, potentially. But at the same time, you're like, oh, you know, you want to get it. You know, you don't want to do it and then muck it up and then not be able to do it a proper thing because you've gone and mucked it up. But yeah, I'd love to see Dr. Aphra. Her comic is the best Star Wars comic.
Yeah, I agree.
The other ones are all a bit sort of up and down stuff. Although the Empire Strikes Back one that they're doing at the moment is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I've read the trade paperbacks, so I have to wait.
You're holding your powder on that.
Exactly.
I won't spoil those for you then. But yeah, they've been quite interesting what they're doing with that. But they're just, you know, poking in the holes of these time. You know, like I said, now that this Skywalker saga is done, like there's that brick wall of time where you can't go past it, or I don't think they'll go past it. So now they're just like, all right, well, we've got to fill in the little gaps around these other little movies and things, but they've still got that big bloody Jedi to Force Awakens time period.
Oh,
They've dropped, you know, there's a few books and a few comics.
There's
and
so
things,
many,
but
isn't
there's
there?
so much stuff that they can still do.
Well, how do you reckon they got the Tantive 4 back?
Yeah, I don't know. Was it always in Legends? I think in Legends it had been destroyed, but I think that was just in a book or something. Like it wasn't actually for reals. You know, like they could easily change it.
Yeah.
We don't even know how Luke's lightsaber got back.
Oh, I know.
And I kind of thought that they were really going to finally address that in the film. But no time. Too busy getting other trinkets.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely something that, again, there's 1,000 books here out of the sequel trilogy to answer all these unanswered questions.
Yeah.
And characters that really didn't get their, you know, due attention.
Oh, for sure.
Sorry Bliss is a great example. There's comic in that. There's,
yeah.
You know.
There'll be some Zori Bliss cosplayers going around at Celebration. I think.
Won't there just?
I mean, that looks like a really hard... looks like a very difficult one to do, but if you put the time in it...
Yeah, the helmet can't be good for your neck.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see, like, we're going to Celebration, obviously, in August and stuff. I'm a little bit bummed. Like, one of the byproducts of Obi-Wan being pushed back is that we won't see anything. But there probably won't even be a panel for Obi-Wan now just because they won't start filming till next year. Like, what do you do? Just go out there and like, yeah, it's coming. You know, like I think there would have been something for it in August if they'd been starting production soon. But
getting ahead of myself, where do you reckon the next Celebration will be for 2021? Because they said it'll be somewhere different. Do you think it'll be somewhere with a Disney, like Paris or something?
I don't know, actually. It's a good question.
Or do you think they'll do something without a Disneyland?
They might go to Asia again.
Or Japan.
Japan, or, I mean, who knows? I mean, come to Australia. We've got a nice convention centre here.
Wouldn't it be awesome?
That'd be so weird if they did Celebration.
Show those Americans around.
Well, I'd be curious to see how many of them would come. It's a long way. It's a long way to go over, but yeah, it'd be... You can't just sort of dip over. You've got to really commit and have a holiday around it. That's what
well, that's true. No matter where it is, if it's not in America, that's going to change the dynamics quite a bit.
If it was that's the thing. Like the sort of the slight downer. If it was in Australia, I'd be like, well, I'd be really surprised if a lot of the friends would come. Like it'd be such an ask. Whereas it's like we've seen it just be going anyway. It's just like if it's in America,
there's going to be a lot of GoFundMes.
Yeah. Maybe people just call it. Well, that's the thing. Like if it's in Melbourne, it's like, would I stay in my house? Like my house is here. Do I need to? You know, like I know Claire Stribling. She stayed in her aunt's apartment in the city for the thing of Celebration because I think she sort of lives out in the outer burbs of Chicago. I feel like I would just come home. It just seems like, why would I pay for accommodation if Celebration's at my house and stuff?
Yeah, it's a 20-minute train ride, not even that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, I've got the study here. I could always get, if Eric Struthers wanted to come all the way to Australia.
This place is going to be full.
Could you imagine me trying to tell Kat that? I'm like, yeah, Celebration's coming to
There's
Melbourne.
There's only 10 of them.
I've got 3 bad motivators, some Canto biters. I've got some Imperial Senate people and some other randoms. All just taking up residence in the house. Kat might just go like, "Hey, we're just going to go stay at her, the grandparents' house or something for a week."
Well, Michael wants to go to Michael Zabo, my co-host on our show, wants to go to Skellig Michael this year.
Oh wow!
I think he said it was September or something. He checked out when.
There's this very specific time of the year.
Yeah, very short window.
That'd be cool. See the crashed TIE fighter, I assume. I wonder if they went back for that, or they just... I think they must have just used plates that they've already shot. I don't think they went back again.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of an ask to get a crew there.
Yeah, so they probably just had to use background stuff that they'd shot last time to get there. But that's another location that they went to. Another freaking planet in that movie.
Yeah, there was so many.
Yeah, she just basically just went there to leave.
She got her frequent flyer points up, didn't she?
Yeah, she certainly did. Yeah, there's so many MacGuffins. Just started jumping back on the Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, you could have easily cut
the Wayfinder, the Ochi's ship, and the dagger. The dagger.
And a lot of those were redundant because if the narrative is that she's a Palpatine and he wants her there, he could have just drawn her there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she didn't necessarily need to find these things. But again, that's that thing where it's like, hey, I've got this crew, I've got everybody together on this thing. We've got to have something to do, and I've got to keep everybody all of them doing something. So we've either got to be looking for something, talking about looking for something, finding something, acting on it, in order for them all to be having something to do. You know, with all in this thing. And then it's like, well, 3PO. Then 3PO becomes a MacGuffin. It's just like, we've found the thing, but now we've got this new roadblock. We have to go somewhere else and give everybody something else to do again. You know, rather than like Rey kind of on this solo mission doing stuff, and then them sort of cutting between the resist. You know, you could have had the whole first half of the film like Finn and Poe rounding up people for the resistance. Like, that could have been a completely different plot, and you could have also cut between the Leia stuff at the base and they're doing something.
Yeah,
but there was this whole kind of like, we've got to get them all back to the gang is all together. You got to get them all in the one mission together and stuff. But
the people wanted it.
Oh, I know. I think it was a bit of that.
I think
sort
it
of
was.
like, you know, people are like, oh, Last Jedi, they barely see each other, but it's just like, well, they've all got their own personal battles to deal with. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Even in Empire, there's not a lot of, you know, connection of the big three.
No, and even Jedi, you know, they, like I said, they're all in the similar places, but they
not together.
are separated a lot. They even get separated on Endor. Like Leia goes off, and then they're back together for a little bit. Then Luke goes off.
Yeah.
They're always kind of pushed away, and Rey is separated in places, but. Yeah, and then they go get Chewie. It's like a thing to a thing to a thing to another thing.
How come he didn't see that dagger when he was fighting with her, when Kylo Ren was fighting with her, and wasn't until he saw Vader's helmet that he realized she was in his bedroom?
He's got a pretty lame bedroom, hasn't he?
It's very sterile, isn't it?
Yeah.
And white.
Like, how do you sleep
I guess he
in
thinks
there?
that's really contrasting the black to...
Like, how do you sleep in there? It's just like everything's...
I'm sure there's some button you press and some bed comes out.
It was sort of like not super impressive. Like, it's cool looking, but, you know, like Snoke had that huge, big, like, throne room thing that he hung out. Like, Kylo seemed a bit less... Maybe he's just trying to be a bit more down-to-earth, man of the people. He's like, oh, you know, I'll just take a room like everybody else. I don't need to be fussed over.
Yeah, but I did wonder why he never saw that dagger, because that would have given it away, because she's fighting with the lightsaber in one hand and the dagger in the other.
Yeah, I guess he might not know what it is, though. Would he know?
It was in his room.
Oh, I know, but he couldn't see the room. The only reason he saw the Vader helmet. He's like, well, that's the one place the Vader helmet is, so now I know where you are. The dagger might not have... I'm not sure. They did we just watched the Saturday Night Live that Adam Driver...
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that yet. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. They do like another undercover boss kind of thing, which is good. But that one thing was such a Star Wars thing that shits me. The Stormtroopers are Imperial Stormtroopers, not First Order Stormtroopers. Like, they've just pulled out Stormtrooper costumes. And then straight away I looked at it, like, going, bloody wrong Stormtroopers on there. Like, I'm sure so many other people, you know, who we know would have said the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it was quite funny.
He's up for it, isn't he?
He's a very good comedic actor. Like, his whole monologue is basically just like, you know, people think I'm really intense, and you know, I like to take myself too seriously and all sort of things. So I can just chill. He has something where he's just trying to chill, but obviously getting agitated by things, and yeah. So I think he's just all about the craft. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's really interested in being famous or, you know, going on that's a job, get on to the next thing. Like, I think he likes being in Star Wars. I think he likes Star Wars, but I think
I think Star Wars was good for him.
Oh, definitely.
Because he's such an indie actor, it really exposed him to, you know, a totally different audience.
Yeah, but I'm sure if you bailed him up and just wanted to talk Raylo, he'd be like, get the fuck.
Yeah,
like, I'm not interested.
He's
like,
not having any of that.
Yeah. All that thing, like, it'd be so weird. Like, Adam Driver, he probably has. I mean, I'm sure he knows that there's like internet discourse between fans, but I'm sure he has no idea of like the scale of it. Like, if someone told him, he'd be like, what? Like, why? Like, why? Why would you bother with that? It's just a stupid movie that I was in, you know, like, why would you? Yeah. I think some hardcore fans one day will be very disappointed when that comes, you know, someone asks him, he's just like, I don't care.
It's a William Shatner thing, get a life, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, Shatner's probably...
This is our life.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like, I've done 3 movies since that. I've already moved on to the next thing. Like, I'd be curious to see whether he does another blockbuster ever again, whether... It
seems unlikely, but who knows? He did Star Wars.
Yeah. But, you know, hey, where do you go from there? I suppose.
Got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
What do they say? One for money, one for love.
No, he was good. He's very funny, but he's obviously a lot of the characters here doing in it are intense characters. Like he's comedically intense characters. I think he's an intense guy. I mean, he was a Marine for God's sake. So, you know,
can we talk about the lack of merch
for Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, there's just nothing on the shelves.
I went to a Target today, and they had one Rey Black Series, and they had a couple of Galaxy of Adventures. They had a Chewie, a Darth Vader, and they had a Han Solo, which I hadn't seen in the while before. I'd be like, oh, that's cool. And then I went, I bet I can get this for like $4. And, you know what I mean? Like I'd be like, oh, I don't need it. It's just going to sit on the shelf. And then they had like a little Dio droid and a lightsaber, and that was about it, really.
Yeah,
but
there's
like,
not much, is there?
There's not much, but that also means that what was there is sold.
Yeah.
So
the Lego goes so well.
It would have been weirder if you're just going to places and there's just like boxes and boxes and boxes and stuff. Like most places I've gone, it looks like that the stock's been cleared or sold or cleared out and stuff. So
yeah, we haven't got those second wave of Black Series.
No,
don't know what happened to them, but
who knows? I've sort of slowed down on the Black Series. I've got it. Obviously, you look at the shelf. There's a whole bunch there, but I got the Yavin ceremony Luke over there because they spelt Skywalker wrong on the box. So I was like, I've got a Cara Dune actually that I got. I think the day we saw Rise of Skywalker, we went to a Kmart with Catherine. There was a Cara Dune, and I didn't buy it. And then I was like, oh, I should have bought it. And then Catherine was like, hey, I've got to go back with something. You sure you don't want that Cara Dune? I was like, yeah, get it. Get it. Now, before we wind this up, mate, you got me a little present here.
I did.
Always lovely bringing gifts. I love to receive gifts. Do you want to tell the people what it is? What I've got in my hot little hand here?
It's like would you call that vintage? It's like a clamshell old school VHS of Empire Strikes Back.
It's the one...
The rental copy.
The rental copy. It's the one that basically, when I used to go into the video shop as a kid, it was the one that was on the thing that I always was like, let's get this. And it's got that my favourite Star Wars poster where it's...
That's mine too. It's an awesome poster.
It's a fantastic poster. It's not the standard one, but it's whatever is the one that's on here.
There was the main Australian release.
Is it? So that was the one that was in the cinemas and stuff. I would really like to get a print of that one day, but I can't really describe it. You know, Google it, you'll see what it is. But it's a
Japanese artist, I believe.
Oh, is it? It's a cracking drawing, actually.
Yeah, it's got everything going on in it, but somehow it works.
Oh, Boba Fett's there. I never really noticed. There you go. Yeah, so it's the VHS copy. I don't have a VHS in the house, I'm afraid, but you know, I do have Disney Plus and Blu-rays and things. I can actually I've got. Just in this room, I think there is at least 2 copies of Empire Strikes Back. No, 3 copies of 4 now. There's a Blu-ray, there's the DVD, there's a Disney Plus in the other room. Oh, actually, there's a DVD's got 2 because it's got the DVD and it's got the despecialized edition because it's the double. Then there's the re-release of on VHS just before the special edition. I've got the 3 there, and now I've got this one. So there's 5 versions of Empire Strikes Back in this room. Right now.
It's such a good film.
There's probably a digital copy on my laptop, actually, now I think about it. The funny thing is, though, is that I'm just looking at the video, him just opening it up.
Be kind, rewind.
Yeah, it's halfway through. So it's almost literally halfway through here. I'd almost be curious just to pop it in a play just to see what they got up to. They're just like, couldn't go any further. I just...
I can imagine the quality is absolutely shit.
Oh, it'll be like the pan and scan.
And especially if it's been for the last 20 years, halfway through the film.
The tracking will be a little bit sort of slightly shonky, you reckon?
Yeah, I think so.
So what's going on with the podcast, mate? You did mention it's true, all of it. What's the...
It's true, all of it. Yeah, we haven't recorded in like forever and a day, so we did our first one back the other day, which was good. So that was just Michael and I.
Back in the game.
Yeah, and then we've interviewing our friends Steph and Andy because they've got an awesome new show.
They are coming on here soon. They did say that they were free this week, and I said I can't do it because it's already booked in. So they may be they might be next week's guests. I think they're on the press circuit.
Yeah, we're all good to our buddies. We all look after each other and
it's
and
like
promote.
It's like promote, but also that sorts a guest out for another week. Catch up, and that sorts out a guest as well. So it's a triple banger.
Yeah, we've got that on the show as well, and We've changed our format, so it's just getting exhausting doing every week. Josh, I don't know how you do it. So we're going monthly, so we can hopefully bash out 12 better episodes. I was going to say great, but better. And
you're doing like the Obi-Wan show. You're going for less.
Yeah, exactly.
More tight, like we're re-scripting, we're redoing the scripting.
Well, I think like we look forward to it if it's once a month.
Yep.
It's something that you're really excited about, and got a few sort of themed episodes throughout the year, sort of plotted out the next 6 months, which is awesome. And
you have given me homework for one.
I have, yeah.
You came over, he was like, hey, you're not getting a free present for nothing. There's strings attached to this.
Yeah.
So I do relish it. I look forward to getting my teeth into it. We won't talk about it now until we get closer to, but there's a little bit of sizzle.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
It was a good podcast. Always enjoyed listening to you guys. You got the bug, a bit like earlier, like, oh, we'll see how we go. And they're like, we're on, doing another one. We're doing another one. But
it's been good. And I think, like, I've met so many people in the online world, not when I say met, that people always sort of trash Twitter and Twitter hate. And I don't know, I found everyone to be awesome.
Yeah, same
really
here.
Friendly.
It's pretty easy to curate, to be honest. Like, I
stop reading after half of a sentence sometimes.
I don't like. Sometimes I'm like, oh, what are they arguing about? Like, okay. And then like the podcast. I've said this before. The podcast feed follows a lot more wider stuff, but I don't do stacks on there. But then my personal one's pretty curated to friends, and I don't really see too much. Occasionally there might be something that someone some sort of conversation starts, but for the most part, it's I'll move on. So I don't really, I don't even, know where most people are on Rise of Skywalker, I think, until I have them on the show. And the thing is now, because I've fallen behind on podcasts so much because I'm not working, there are some people I'm just like, I don't even know where they're at, because I haven't heard their podcast or I haven't listened. Like I've heard bits of it, or I haven't, I might have missed the one where they talked about it, or have their feelings changed since then and stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that flip-flopping going on at the moment, which is cool. And but yeah, I've just found that people that it wasn't their thing, they're sort of mature enough to get that, well, hey, but I like this.
Well, pretty much anybody who I follow is like that. Yeah. Anybody who's, feels like they've dug in and their world is over, I wouldn't have been engaged with anyway. But hey, you know what? There's always more Star Wars, mate.
Fantastic.
So pleasure as always having you on here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We love people who come prepared and they bring things and they bring presents, which is even better. I always enjoy that. So if everyone wants to grab you, well, first give a little plug for Star Walking.
So the Star Walking Club. So few exciting things happening this year with that, and check it out. And Facebook, website, the whole lot.
See the new branding.
The new branding is awesome.
That was a funny thing. I
looks good on a t-shirt.
Oh, I think I'd mentioned to you when I went to the midnight thing. That was like, because I did the logo for them, the little brand refresh, and I just did it as a favor for Dale. And then I went in, there was on t-shirts and stuff already. I've just gone. I only gave them the artwork like not that long ago. That's really weird. But they didn't waste any time.
And did you get to see your logo on the big screen? Or were you not in the room?
I wasn't in the room, but I did get some photos of it, so
awesome.
Which was good. So, yeah. So luckily, the only regret from that night, because I think I know we're winding up, but we were sort of talking, going, they'll give you a chance to give out stickers and and I just had too much on my plate. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then I had a few different people, because a few people were wearing the T-shirts and stuff, were asking about the T-shirts, and then someone was like, this person, I wish I'd had something to give them, be like, hey, the URL's on here, or I really wish I had something to hand out then. But anyway, it's the ad has been in the last couple of newsletters, so I think they've just forgotten to take it out.
No, that's it's an awesome ad.
So that was all cool. But yes, so Star Walking, if you're in Australia and you want to jump on that, by all means do. And then they want to just follow your hijinks or the podcast.
Oh yeah, so it's true, all of it. Follow us on Twitter, and we're always happy to have a new listener.
Excellent, hey. All right, mate. Well, you can find us, at starwarspelledout.com. You've already got the end. You already know where everything is. T-shirts. It was supposed to be a new T-shirt design coming. We haven't had time to do it, so you just have to wait. People still buying the McClunky ones, so I don't have to do anything.
You're on a winner.
I'm on a winner. Pay for this new recorder that we're recording on tonight. All right. Thanks a lot, mate.
Thanks, Josh.
See you soon.